I had to bring the old ball and chain tonight. My husband. Hi Oscar. I'm a very long way from home, from Australia. If you'd told me 6 years ago that I'd be standing here in Washington, D.C., talking to you about this issue, I would have thought you were nuts. The reason I'm standing here is because we're just a little well known in Australia, and I have 2 adopted children, as you've heard, Oscar and Ava, and so many Australian families would come up to me and say, we'd love to adopt, we'd love to provide a home for a child, but it's just so damn hard. And I kept hearing this over and over. And I just one day said, why? And spoke up about it and ended up speaking to a newspaper, and it began my journey. It opened a can of worms in Australia, and it began my journey and my education as to why it was happening like that. We tried to adopt in Australia, and we came up against roadblocks because of our past history with adoption in Australia, which was established in 2005 in an inquiry that it was an anti-adoption culture. Now I say that and people go, what? They don't understand it. And so it's based on past practices we had with the stolen generation of Aboriginal children, and in the 50s, 60s and 70s, single mothers were forced to relinquish their children. State and church and families forced them to do this. They deemed them unfit because they were single parents, and it was not the rigor of the day. So anyway, this is where we came from, and this is why it is tainted in Australia and why we are not doing it well. We are one of the lowest countries in the world in inter-country adoption. So I started speaking up about this, and we, with like-minded people, established National Adoption Awareness Week, and the first year out, our first thing was, let's talk about adoption. For a long time it had been secrecy and shame and a stigma, and no one was talking about it. We said, let's talk about it, you know, bring it out. And it was giving the freedom for adoptees to talk about it, and it was paving the way for the new kids that were traveling this path. We did a CSA with Elmo. I met with the Sesame Street people in New York and said, will you do something for us? So we had Elmo and I talking. He's like, Deborra-lee, tell me about adoption. And so I had a little chat with him. Oscar got to meet him. They didn't get along, but it's okay, it's another story. Because I wanted that to be there for the kids so that they see their hero talking about their journey, and that they could explain to their friends how they got there. And it was someone that they all knew and that could relate to, so it wasn't this sort of secret thing or something that was taboo to talk about. Anyway, I ended up moving over here to America, and I continued what we'd started down there, and I had a forum last year to speak at the Press Gallery in Canberra, which was really scary, and I had to talk for an hour about the history of adoption and address the issues. And when I had to do that, I befriended the American community and met with Kathleen Strottman here at CCAI, who jumped up. Tom DeFilippo, who's here tonight, the Joint Council, Jane Aronson. There was a whole troop of them. I said, I have this forum in Australia and I want to get it right. Will you help me? So they all traveled into New York. We sat around and we did a big powwow on what the issues were. They were educating me because I'm not an expert in this field, but I wanted to be a part of shining the light on it. So they educated me and told me what to say, and that began our relationship. I was so touched when they said I was coming here to get this award, and we came up last night. We travelled up from New York to Senator Landra and Frank's that had held the party last night. I met a whole lot of you there, and I'm just thrilled to be joining with these incredibly powerful women. I mean, everyone at CCAI that I've met is so enthusiastic and creative and passionate and wants to put this front and center. I can't think of anything that's more important than children's issues and making sure that every child finds a family. And I love that because of this unity, I'm going to take this back to Australia, and our ambassador's here tonight, Kim Beasley. Kim, you need to speak to our peeps back home and make sure we get this right. But I'm so thrilled to have met you guys, and this is just the beginning of our relationship. We had lunch today at a great restaurant in town to put creativity and energy into shining a light on this issue. As they say in a family, it takes a village. This is a village, it's a global village, and I can't wait to work with everyone here in doing this. I just want to say my son wanted to mention, and he wanted to come up here tonight, which he doesn't usually want to do. So I want to invite my son up. This is Oscar Jackman. Oscar recently did because we all want to know where we came from. You want me to share that? Yeah. Okay. There's a Google thing called 23andMe. It's a DNA test. And I think of a lot of adoptive kids who don't necessarily have the paperwork where they come from, do a spit test and they find out their lineage. And Oscar found out, Okay, he's a quarter. Is it a quarter? Anyway, he found out he's from North Africa and Bosnia in his background, and he's been reading all about it, and he's very proud of that. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm thrilled to be here, and I really appreciate this. Thank you. I forgot to say, I'm sorry. My mum's come all the way here from Australia, Mum. I didn't even mention you. And Uncle Irving, who I've grown up with, and Oscar, they all came up to be with me here tonight, and I'm thrilled you're here, Mum. I can't believe I forgot my mum.